Everyone, thanks for stopping by and seeing what I'm up to. My name is Nikki B, and I'm sorry for slacking. That is not quite like me. Let's continue with dark psychology and manipulation techniques, plus how to analyze people.
Hypnosis, from the ancient Greek word hypnos, and means sleep. But hypnosis has nothing to do with rest, and it is simply compared to a sleep-like state. Hypnosis is a state of concentrated deep relaxation that you know from everyday life. For example, when driving or watching TV, you are very relaxed and yet focused. About 80% of your actions run unconsciously from. So, it can happen that you missed an exit on the highway, or you do not realize that someone calls your name when you are spellbound pursuing an exciting movie. The state of concentrated deep relaxation you also know from reading a book. You are in a different world. The story grabs you and puts you under its spell. You are mentally on your different level of attention. Your subconscious mind is more active, and your absolute consciousness is pushed back for a moment or a longer time. In this state, you are also more emotional and open to feelings. Having a handkerchief ready for a love novel is not only a good idea for sensitive people. Even music goes straight to the subconscious mind and can be quite tears or cause goosebumps. This state of relaxation the hypnotist can reach with you. You will enjoy every minute of it. It's like relaxed car driving, watching TV, and reading a book together in an exceptional combination. In doing so, you will hear and feel everything, usually speak, and are neither will-less nor manipulatable. Does hypnosis really work? Many hypnotists already consider it a success if you find yourself in a more or less deep trance state. However, many people expect something, particularly when they embark on a hypnosis session. You have a goal. You feel you want to lose a few pounds or change the structure of the eating behavior, dive into the past, or dissolve deep-seated traumas, quit smoking or coping with worse addictions. Whatever it is, thousands and thousands of successful hypnosis sessions prove to you that the technique of hypnosis, when applied responsibly, really works. Whether it works for you, you have to find out for yourself. On another page is the question, if you can learn hypnotic techniques yourself so that they work for your counterpart. That depends on your flexibility and many other factors. Most of the participants in my workshops answer this question in the affirmative. Hypnotic states in everyday life. Have you ever stopped at the traffic light, lost in thought, even though the view you had long changed to green? Have you been so immersed in a television or movie that you supposedly became part of the story? Have you looked thoughtfully into a sunset while completely forgetting time and space? Did the time run slower than you stood in a long queue, and did it pass faster than you were engaged in a lively conversation with a loved one? Are you dreamed away when you looked thoughtfully into the flickering campfire? All this you can already consider as a hypnotic state. If you take a look at your everyday behavior, it seems to me that you are switching from one trance state to the next throughout your entire life. You can perceive your life as a series of different and more or less trance-accompanied countries. If you hack a text into the computer, drive a car, or do yoga session in the state of flow, you're in a kind of trance. It helps you harness all these creative and useful states. As you learned in my workshops, your life will become richer and you will finally live more consciously. How am I hypnotized? The process of hypnosis is easily explained. You lie relaxed chair and have your eyes closed. The hypnotist will speak to you in a calm voice and guide you to relax even more. With specific hypnotherapist speech patterns, and if you really want it, you will get into the concentrated deep relaxation described above. You will hear the voice of the hypnotist clearly, and you can speak as well. Your rational, analytical mind now has a little break, and your subconscious mind and senses are the more attentive. An ideal state of hypnosis where you can fathom and resolve deadlocked behavior, beliefs, blockages, and fears. You will decide for yourself which of these deeper thoughts you would like to express, and you determine if you are ready for change and self-healing. Your hypnotherapist will simply make your suggestions in the form of ideas. You and your subconscious decide together if these suggestions should be accepted and processed. Types of hypnosis and how they work. Hypnosis is a way that promotes changes in behavior through suggestion. Depending on the definition on which we rely, we can conceptualize hypnosis as a psychological state or as a set of attitudes and mental processes. At present, the scientific community associates it with expectations or with brainwaves. In this chapter, we will talk about the 5 most common types of hypnosis, the traditional method, which is based on direct verbal suggestion, the one developed by Milton Erickson, cognitive behavioral hypnosis, self-hypnosis, and neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, which, without being exactly one form of hypnosis, is largely based on the Ericksonian variant. 1. Traditional hypnosis by suggestion. The history of conventional hypnosis dates back to the particular method of Franz Mesmer, which involved magnets and became popular at the end of the 18th century. Later, James Braid showed his opposition to the mesmerist hypothesis and proposed that hypnosis was a state of the nervous system, while Pierre Janet attributed it to psychological disassociation. Traditional hypnosis is based on the induction of a trance state. Once the hypnotized person has reached it, they will receive suggestions in verbal format regarding their behavior or their mental contents. Thus, the objective of this method is to influence the action, for example, by suggesting the person abandon a harmful habit or belief. At present, the classical method remains the most widely used form of hypnosis worldwide. It is related to the hypothesis of the unconscious mind by Freud that marked the subsequent developments of psychoanalysis in a critical way. In addition to influencing orientations as different from this as cognitivism. 2. Ericksonian hypnosis. This type of hypnosis was developed by Milton H. Erickson, an American psychologist who is considered a pioneer in the field and is psychotherapy in general. Do not confuse this author with Erik Erikson, a German evolutionary psychologist known primarily for his theory of the 8 stages of psychosocial development. Ericksonian hypnosis is not carried out through direct suggestions, but rather by metaphors that favor creative and reflective thinking. Due to this, greater efficacy is attributed to that of classical hypnosis in people who are refractory to hypnosis, with a low level of suggestibility, or who are skeptical of the procedure. Erickson's influence is not limited to hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, which we will discuss later. The central aspect of its intervention model, the weight of the relationship between the therapist and the client in achieving the change, was collected by the strategic school and by the brief therapy focused on solutions, both part of the systematic approach. 3. Cognitive behavioral hypnosis. The cognitive behavioral perspective conceives hypnosis as a set of methods that promote behavioral change through suggestion. This phenomenon is understood as a consequence of the interaction between factors such as the state of physical relaxation, the use of imagination, and the expectations and beliefs of the person. Some therapists who describe to cognitive behavioral counseling use hypnosis techniques as a complement to broader interventions. In this sense, it has been applied to problems as varied as sleep-wake cycle alterations, behavioral addictions, and substances, especially tobacco, or post-traumatic stress disorder. 4. Self-hypnosis. We talk about self-hypnosis when a person induces himself to this state through auto-suggestion. Instruments that serve as a support are often used. The most common are sound recordings, although there are also devices that alter brainwaves to modify the level of consciousness. This type of hypnosis applies especially to everyday difficulties that are not of particular gravity. Thus, for example, it is common to use intrapersonal and interpersonal skills, such as assertiveness, to reduce the level of stress and induce relaxation, to face stage fright, to lose weight, or to quit smoking. 5. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. While we cannot say that it is strictly a type of hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, often referred to as NLP, is closely related to these methods. These techniques, created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, uses thinking models to improve psychological skills. The Milton model is based on the hypnosis method developed by Milton Erickson. In this variant of NLP, the suggestion is practiced through metaphors. However, the use of Bandler and Grinder's intervention in Ericksonian hypnosis has been criticized because these authors modified or misinterpreted many of their basic ideas. The scientific community considers neuro-linguistic programming as a pseudoscience and therefore as a fraud. Its postulates are not based on any empirical basis, although it includes complex concepts in order to provide the theory with an air of credibility. This type of practice is widespread in pseudosciences. Hypnotists use many different types of NLP programming. Some of the most used forms of NLP are the NLP Anchor, the NLP Flash, and the NLP Update. NLP Anchor. The first type of NLP to be treated as the NLP Anchor. A good way to think about how anchoring works is to think of an old song you know. Have you ever sat in a car and listened to a song you haven't heard in a long time? Did this song cause you a feeling that comes from the past? The first time you heard this song or sometime later, when you heard it, you went through these feelings and the unconscious associated those feelings with that particular song. Through this process, the song would become the anchor of these feelings. Every time you listen to that particular song, you will make the brain have those feelings again. This is a good example of anchoring. Many hypnotists have discovered that mooring is a useful technique to hypnotize their subjects. For example, if you remember that you have been rewarded for doing something right in the past, the hypnotist can invade that special memory and help you restore the feeling you had at that time. At the same time, the hypnotist allows you to perform an action. For example, B. Touch your 2 fingers while rebuilding the process. Every time you touch your fingers, you will feel the same happy feelings again. The anchoring process can work to motivate you to achieve something by connecting good feelings with it. For example, This method is widely used to find the necessary motivation to lose weight and maintain a diet. The hypnotist works with the subject to create a positive anchor associated with the mental image of the subject. In this case, the subject reflects on himself in a slim and sexy body. When the subject reinvents his image, they activate the anchor and obtain the positive motivation they need. In fact, there is a dramatic increase in motivation to lose weight in those who undergo hypnosis, compared to those who do not. The anchoring process can be used in a variety of different ways to help the individual's self-improvement. NLP Flash. NLP Flash is another form of hypnosis that is considered extremely powerful and only performed by a certified professional. It is often used to change thoughts and feelings in the subconscious of the subject. It can be an excellent way to help people who feel chronic stress or who depend on a substance. In this process, the hypnotist will exchange the feelings of the subject instead of giving pleasure to a particular action, causing pain to that action, or instead of a specific action that causes stress that causes the item to relax. For example, someone who depends on a substance such as cigarettes or alcohol will find a feeling of joy and happiness when consuming that substance. The NLP technique shows these feelings, which makes the person feel uncomfortable or in pain when consuming the content. This can help them overcome their addictions more effectively. Those who have a lot of stress have also discovered that NLP Flash technique works well for them. If a person suffers from chronic stress, they may have difficulty controlling their blood pressure and mood, and they may feel bad most of the time. Since stress puts so much pressure on the body, there are many patients who are ready to undergo instant hypnosis with NLP to help them relax. With this technique, the subject learns and redirects their stress triggers, which instead causes feelings of relaxation in their minds. It has also been shown that this technique is effective in eliminating conditioned reactions in the subject's head. An example of this is smoking. If you smoke and enjoy a cigarette with a cup of coffee in the morning, your subconscious brain will begin to combine these two behaviors. This means that every time the person enjoys a cup of coffee, he longs for a cigarette, especially in the morning. As the subject progresses through the NLP Flash technique, they learn to separate the two events. In this way, the smoker can have a cup of coffee without at the same time feeling like smoking. This makes it an even more effective technique when it comes to quitting smoking. NLP Reframe. The third form of NLP that has been used in hypnosis is known as NLP Reframe. This technique is really potent because it works so well in assisting the subject in changing the way that they behave. To do this process, the hypnotist must understand that there is a secondary gain or a positive outcome, which is accomplished by each of the behaviors that the person performs. The result that occurs from the action is essential since that is the reason the subject is acting in the first place. Despite the importance of the outcome, the behavior that is chosen to accomplish the result is really not that important. During the process of reframing, the hypnotist works to negotiate and reason with the unconscious mind of the subject. The goal is to get it to take over the responsibility for making the subject substitute in some new behavior that is available and effective at accomplishing the required secondary gain. While this is all going on in the subconscious, the new act will be more acceptable to the subject in their conscious mind. For example, if the person is in the habit of eating when they are sad in order to make themselves feel better, the hypnotist is going to perform this method to teach the unconscious to do some other activity. The act of eating might be replaced with exercise or reading an excellent book, helping the subject to lose weight, eat healthier, and feel better all around. Video hypnosis. While the other forms of hypnosis have been extremely popular in assisting subjects to overcome obstacles and change the way that they think in order to live better lives, new forms of hypnosis are always being developed. One of the newest forms of hypnotherapy that has been developed is video hypnosis. This form is offered through commercial means so that people are able to purchase them and use at their own convenience. The techniques that are used in some of the brands of video hypnosis are based on the neuro-linguistic programming technology that was discussed earlier. This means that the video hypnosis technique will work based on utilizing the existing thought processes that the subject has rather than using hypnotic suggestion like traditional methods. The reason why video hypnosis has grown so rapidly is that more than 70% of the people have found that they learn things easier and more quickly when they see things compared to when they only hear the information. The subject's mind will learn to change the feelings that it is having, as well as its visual associations, automatically on the conscious level, while watching the visual movies that are presented. While there are many different kinds of video hypnosis programs that are available, Neurovision is one of the most popular because it has been developed using some of the best techniques in the industry. This type of video method works to train the unconscious mind of the subject through digital optics, which is a high-tech simulation process on the computer. This will free the subject of their tensions, urges, and compulsions. Through this process, the smoker will find that stopping smoking is easy. The dieter will lose their appetite, and those who feel stress will begin to relax more. It will often take at least a few sessions of video hypnosis to see results, although there are those who find that just one viewing will start to show some of the results that they want. Subliminal hypnosis. The last type of hypnosis discussed in this chapter is subliminal hypnosis. Frequently, subliminal hypnotic messages are stored in a recording so that the subject can listen to them. The record will have 2 tracks, and each one will speak to another part of the mind. A track contains a cover sound heard by the subject's consciousness. Coverage noise is often something that the brain can easily understand, e.g., nature sounds or music. The other track contains direct suggestions that are heard by the subject's subconscious. These suggestions on the second track are repeated throughout the session. Subliminal programs can be played anytime, anywhere. You could listen to these messages while you work or even watch TV. The best part is that you don't have to stop sitting and relaxing as needed with NLP or traditional hypnosis. In some cases, subliminal programs are added to their regular hypnotic programs. The use of subliminal programming is not so every day. Most people will not choose this method to change their habits and behaviors. Research has shown that subliminal programs are not really useful and therefore cannot replace NLP or hypnosis. After some deliberation, it may take more than 80 hours for the subliminal message to take effect. Despite the presence of the means of hypnosis, it is not an unpleasant conspiracy aimed at conquering the minds of people without willpower. In fact, if the subject is not ready to undergo hypnosis, it is practically impossible to induce him to transition to the altered state. Hypnosis often helps others improve their lives. This can be in the form of weight control, quitting smoking, improving other health conditions, and helping the treatment of chronic pain. Each of the techniques is also important to support the subject reach their overall goal. While all methods can be effective, the specialist you work with and the particular problem are used to determine which of these methods best suits your needs and help you improve your life. Covert hypnosis, using mind control to influence other people. There are various different hypnosis techniques which are used for treating many different issues such as quitting smoking, curing phobias, overeating, and preventing negative thoughts or emotions. It works by relaxing and quieting the mind until it is in a receptive state. Once quieted, external stimulation can be reduced or asserted to leave a person's subconscious mind open to suggestion. Covert hypnosis, also known as conversational hypnosis, is a bit different and is an unconventional form of performing hypnosis on an individual. It uses mind control through simple conversation with a person while they are completely awake. They are unaware that they are being hypnotized because it is not even obvious that you are doing it. It basically uses different body language, specific terms, and putting them in proper order. You can use this type of mind control to influence changes in your life, such as a pay raise or attracting a new partner in your life. There is no need to swing a gold pocket watch in anyone's face or any other type of crazy technique to put people under. All you need are some easily learned skills to communicate with people's subconscious mind, and this technique teaches you exactly how to do this. Communicating with the subconscious of another person is not as hard as it may seem. In fact, we all have the power to do it. Our skills just need to be enhanced. Simply planting suggestions in a person's subconscious mind can change their negative thoughts into positive ones, and you can do this while conversing with them. These suggestions you plant will create a reaction from them that normally they might have not performed themselves. However, they will think it was their own idea. The way it works is that the covert hypnosis master will make a particular facial expression or some other gesture to the person they are conversing with, knowing that this body language will have a certain influence on that person. They do this without making it obvious to the person they are influencing. There are certain steps that need to be performed in a particular order when using this type of mind control. Before you attempt to do any of the steps, you must have the person's full attention, or you will not be able to hypnotize them effectively. Only masters of this technique should use it, as it can be misused if not done correctly, or not work at all. People who learn this skill can use it to help other people or for their own personal benefit. We can enhance the lives of those around us or use it to create a better life for ourselves. Also, only the trained masters will know when this technique is being used on them, as they will be fully aware of its techniques and setting. Chapter 12. What is...
We're going to pause there for today. Oh, I'll let it go. It's only 10 more minutes, guys. Hang in there, and thanks for stopping by. I really enjoy sharing knowledge.
Deception. To start with is the definition of what deception is. Deception, along with subterfuge, mystification, bluff, deceit, and beguilement, is an act used by an agent to propagate beliefs in the subject about things that are falsehoods or which are only partial truths. Deception means a lot of different things, such as concealment, camouflage, distraction, sleight of hand, propaganda, and dissimulation. The agent will be able to control the mind of the subject because the subject is going to trust them. The item will believe what the agent is saying and might even be basing future plans and shaping their world based on the things that the agent has been telling them. If the agent is practicing the process of deception, the things they have been telling the subject will be false. Trust can easily be ruined once the issue finds out, which is why the agent must be talented at the process of deception and good at turning things around if they want to continue on with their subject. Often, deception will come up in terms of relationships, and it can lead to feelings of distrust and betrayal between the two partners who are in the relationship. This is because deception violates the rules of most relationships and is also seen to have a negative influence on the expectations that come with that relationship. Most people expect to be able to have a truthful conversation with their partner. If they have learned that their partner is deceptive, they would have to learn how to use misdirection and distraction in order to get the reliable and truthful information that they need. The trust would also be gone from the relationship, making it challenging to build the relationship back up to where it had once been. The subject would always be questioning the things that the agent was telling them, wondering if the story were true or something made up. Because this new mistrust, most relationships will end once the subject finds out about the deception of the agent. Types of deception. Deception is a form of communication that relies on omissions and lies in order to convince the subject of the world that best fits the agent. Since there is communication involved, there will also be several different types of deception that could be occurring. According to the interpersonal deception theory, there are 5 different types of deception that are found. The 5 main forms of deception include lies. This is when the agent makes up information or gives information that is completely different from what is the truth. They will present this information to the subject as fact, and the subject will see it as the truth. This can be dangerous since the subject will not realize that they are being fed false information. If the subject knew the information was false, they would not likely be talking to the agent and no deception would occur. Equivocations. This is when the agent will make contradictory, ambiguous, or indirect statements. This is done to lead the subject to get confused and do not understand what is going on. It can also help the agent to save face if the subject comes back later and tries to blame them for the false information. Concealments. This is one of the most common types of deception that are used. Concealments are when the agent omits information that is relevant or important to the context, intentionally, or they engage in any behavior that would hide information that is relevant to the subject for that particular context. The agent will not have directly lied to the subject, but they will have made sure that the important information that is needed never makes it to the subject. Exaggeration. This is when the agent will overstate a fact or stretch the truth a little bit in order to turn the story the way that they would like. While the agent may not be directly lying to the subject, they are going to make the situation seem like a bigger deal than it really is, or they may change the truth a little bit so that the subject will do what they want. Understatements. An understatement is the exact opposite of the exaggeration tool in that the agent is going to downplay or minimize aspects of the truth. They will tell the subject that an event is not that big of a deal when in fact it could be the thing that determines if the subject gets to graduate or gets that big promotion. The agent will be able to go back later and say how they did not realize how big of a deal it was, leaving them to look good and the subject to look almost petty if they complain. Main components of deception. While it may be difficult to determine which factors show when deception is occurring, there are some components that are typical of deception. Often, the subject will not realize that these components have occurred unless the agent has told an outright lie or has been caught in the act of deceiving. These are components that will be recognized later on if the agent is using the process of deception in the right way. The three main components of deception include camouflage, disguise, and simulation. Camouflage. The first component of deception is camouflage. This is when the agent is working to hide the truth in another way, so that the subject will not realize that they are missing the information. Often this technique will be used when the agent uses half-truths when they are telling information. The issue will not recognize that the camouflaging has occurred until later when these truths are revealed in some way. The agent will be skilled in camouflaging the fact so that it is challenging for the subject to find out about the deception by chance. Disguise. Disguise is another component that can be found in the process of deception. When this occurs, the agent is working to create an impression of being something or somebody else. This is when the agent is hiding something about themselves from the subject, such as their real name, what they do for a job, who they have been with, and what they are up to when they go out. This goes further than just changing the outfit that someone wears in a play or a movie. When the disguise is used in the process of deception, the agent is trying to change their whole persona in order to trick and deceive the subject. There are several examples that can illustrate the use of disguise in the process of deception. The first is in the relations to the agent disguising themselves, usually as another person, so that they are not recognizable. The agent may do this in order to get back into a crowd of people that do not like them, change their personalities to make someone like them, or for another reason to further their goals. In some cases, the word disguise can refer to the agent disguising the true nature of a proposal in the hopes of hiding an effect or motivation that is unpopular with that proposal. Often, this form of disguise is found in propaganda or political spin. Disguise can be harmful because it is hiding the true nature of what is going on. If the agent is hiding who they are from the subject, it can be challenging for the item to determine who they really are. When information is withheld from the subject, it clouds the way that they are able to think, since they do not have the right information to make logical choices. While the issue may believe that they are making reasonable choices of their own free will, the agent has taken away crucial information that may change the subject's mind. Simulation. The third component of deception is known as simulation. This consists of showing the subject information, which is false. There are three techniques that can be used in simulation, including distraction, fabrication, and mimicry. In mimicry, or copying another model, the agent will be unconsciously depicting something that is similar to themselves. They may have an idea that is similar to someone else's, and instead of giving credit, they will say that it is all theirs. This form of simulation can often occur through auditory, visual, and other means. Fabrication is another tool that the agent may use when using deception. What this means is that the agent will take something that is found in reality and change it so that it is different. They may tell a story that did not happen, or add in embellishments that make it sound better or worse than it really was. While the core of the story may be real, yes, they did get a bad grade on a test, it is going to have some extra things put in, such as the teacher gave them a bad grade on purpose. The reality is that the agent didn't study, and that is why they got the wrong grade in the first place.
And that's where we're stopping today. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me, listening to Dark Psychology, Manipulation Techniques, and How to Analyze People. This was chapter 13 and 14 that's labeled on the book, but it's like, I think, behind 1 or 2 chapters when it states it. I don't know. It's very bizarre. Either way, we have much more to go. Thanks again for stopping by.